The Witch of Wall Street, Hetty Green, would be worth about $3 billion by today's standards. But she was so frugal, so stingy with her money, she was once listed in the Guinness Book of World Records for world's greatest miser, notoriously only washing the hem of her dress and the underarms to save on the cost of soap. She only purchased very cheap food like eggs and onions, so her breath was potent. And she allegedly wore the same pair of underpants from the age of 16 to when she passed away at 81. The Witch of Wall Street, Hetty Green, born 1834, the only child to an incredibly wealthy whale oil merchant who had desperately wanted a son. Without a son, he thought, oh well, and he educated Hetty as if she were a boy. He took her to the docks with him, where she learned to curse like a sailor, a skill she honed for the remainder of her life. Her father's eyes were failing, so Hetty read the newspaper to him every single day. She did his bookkeeping, she kept his correspondence, and she soon surpassed him in skill, with very good investments into real estate and railroads. She became so wealthy that when the U.S. government needed to borrow money, they asked Hetty Green. She was so clever that when J.P. Morgan wanted advice on investments, he asked Hetty Green. She was arguably the wealthiest woman in the world at the time. She could have lived a beyond opulent lifestyle. But her goal was to build her family's wealth, not spend it. And it was this obsession, almost pathological unwillingness to spend money that robbed her family of even a vaguely stable life. She left her husband when he fell into debt. Mismanaging money was an unforgivable offense for Hetty Green. She took the two kids, but didn't buy them a home. They hopped between boarding houses, hotels, and covens, often paying by the month, because Hetty Green didn't want to pay property taxes. Perhaps the most egregious and pitiful example of her frugality, Hetty's son, Ned, who by all accounts was her favorite person on the planet. And yes, I am including Hetty's daughter. Ned broke his leg. He really needed to see a doctor, but Hetty did not want to pay for one. She figured she could just fix that leg herself. Well, she could not. He eventually needed that leg amputated, and he used a prosthetic for the remainder of his life. Hetty was a miser, no doubt, but she is likely misunderstood in more than one way. At a time when women were considered incapable of financial independence, Hetty not only held her own in the financial sector, she dominated. One of the reasons that she is largely forgotten about when other Gilded Age tycoons are remembered is other tycoons have their names on big fancy buildings. J.D. Rockefeller will be remembered as long as we have Rockefeller Center. Cornelius Vanderbilt is honored at Grand Central Terminal. Andrew Carnegie is remembered at Carnegie Hall, even if his name is mispronounced. Carnegie, he was Scottish. But Hetty Green is nowhere to be seen. She would have never wasted money on such frills. She is actually said to have privately donated a good amount of money to schools, charities, and various neighbors in need, but only on the strict condition of anonymity. She didn't want anyone else coming by asking for any more of her money. So Hetty Green's memory largely melted away, like many wicked witches do, but she nonetheless conjured more money out of Wall Street than any other woman of her era and most other men, even if just for a short spell.